They built cities literally no one else could build. I mean, we're talking about the absolute strongest nation on Earth at the time, taller, stronger, and honestly way more powerful than anyone who came before them. But despite all that unmatched physical superiority and absolute architectural genius, it couldn't save them. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to unpack the incredible, dramatic history of the nation of Ad.
Think about the sheer scale of human achievement for a second. We build, we conquer, and we reinforce everything with steel and stone. But the Creator destroyed every single trace of this mighty ancient civilization with nothing but moving air. Seriously, just wind. That's the dramatic mystery we're unpacking today. How exactly does a civilization that's so rooted in the earth, so physically imposing, get completely wiped out by literally the lightest element in nature?
Okay, let's dive right into this with part 1, the might of Ad.
So to set the scene, we're in the post-flood world. After the great flood of Prophet Nooh, peace be upon him, wiped away a previous civilization that just refused to believe, the earth essentially hit the reset button. Generations passed, and from the descendants of those survivors, this incredibly remarkable new civilization arises in the Al-Akaf region, down in the Arabian Peninsula. They were the nation of Ad, and they were unlike anything the world had ever seen. The Quran actually describes them through their legendary city, Iram, saying, Iram, who had lofty pillars, the likes of whom were never created in the lands. We are talking about unparalleled architectural genius here. They built these massive, elevated structures with towering pillars, reaching straight up toward the sky. It was a civilization explicitly designed to show off their unmatched engineering and their sheer physical superiority.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how much they were given. We're looking at immense physical stature and strength, towering architecture, plus extremely fertile lands with flowing natural springs and abundant, healthy livestock. They literally had it all. But there is something about having that much power, that much wealth and security that does something really dangerous to the human heart. And the nation of Ad was about to prove exactly what that is. You see, all that immense confidence, it slowly hardened into absolute arrogance. They looked around at their massive towers and their own physical strength and just concluded, yep, nothing can ever threaten us. They became completely convinced of their own permanence, and in that extreme arrogance, they abandoned the one God who gave them absolutely everything. Instead, historical accounts show us they turned to worshiping false idols, literally carved stones that they named Sada, Samud, and Al-Haba. Think about that. They ended up worshiping the exact things they were carving with their own hands.
Which brings us to part 2. Prophet Hud's warning.
Now, out of pure mercy, Allah didn't just abandon the people of Ad to their arrogance without a warning. No, He sent a prophet straight from among their own people, Prophet Hud, peace be upon him. This was a man they actually knew, someone they grew up with and respected. He stood right there among his people and delivered this beautifully direct, selfless call. O my people, worship Allah. You have no deity other than Him. Notice what's missing there. There is absolutely zero request for personal wealth or power or status. His message was entirely rooted in mercy. He literally just wanted them to return to the sincere worship of their Creator before it was too late.
And He was so patient with them, He tried to reframe their entire worldview. Ad's perspective was super simple. Our immense physical strength and our towering achievements make us invincible. But Hud's reminder to them was profound. He basically said, look, you are just successors to Nooh. Your strength, your lands, your cities, it's all a bestowed gift from Allah. It wasn't some personal achievement they magically generated out of thin air. And the crucial power dynamic here is that whatever the Creator gives, the Creator can just as easily take away.
Moving on to part 3, arrogance and mockery.
So you might be wondering, how did the leaders of Ad respond to this totally logical, profound reminder? Honestly, with pure hostility. They completely rejected his words, they mocked Prophet Hud, and their hearts just sealed up with pride. And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute peak of their delusion. They actually asked the question out loud, who is mightier than us in strength? Wow, this was their ultimate fatal flaw. They were so utterly blinded by their own muscles and their massive stone pillars that they completely forgot about the very force that created those muscles and that stone to begin with. They completely forgot who gave them their strength. And in their defiance, they boldly challenged Prophet Hud. They dared him. They actually said, bring us what you threaten us with if you should be of the truthful. Can you imagine that arrogance? They falsely believed that literally no force on earth could ever touch them. But they were about to learn a terrifying lesson, because the punishment wouldn't even need to come from the earth at all.
And that takes us right into part 4, the 7-day storm.
After years and years of patient warnings and just constant rejection, a turning point finally arrived. The people of Ad looked out across their massive, fertile valley, and they saw a change on the horizon. A massive cloud was approaching. Now imagine the terrifying, dramatic irony of this exact moment. They heavily depended on rainfall for their crops, right? So when they saw this massive cloud gathering, they rejoiced. They pointed at it, completely unaware that they were literally cheering for their own destruction. They thought it was this beautiful, life-giving rain. But Prophet Hud knew. He knew it was the devastating punishment they had mockingly requested. And guys, by the time they realized what was actually inside that cloud, it was way, way too late.
What was unleashed upon them was a furious, violently roaring, bitterly cold wind, and it did not stop for 7 nights and 8 days. The sheer duration of that is hard to even wrap your head around. Imagine a continuous, deafening storm just battering their towering pillars and their so-called invincible bodies without a single second of pause. No break, no mercy, just a relentless, terrifying force of nature.
So the really crucial point here is what remained when that wind finally eventually died down. The Quran gives us this deeply haunting image. They were left overturned, as if they were hollow trunks of palm trees. That's it. The absolute mightiest, most physically dominant people the earth had ever produced were uprooted, thrown to the ground, and completely destroyed by mere moving air. Their towering buildings and generations of pride offered literally zero protection when the command of Allah finally arrived.
But, amidst all this total destruction, there is an incredible story of mercy. Prophet Hud and the small group of believers who had actually accepted his message, they were completely spared. They were entirely untouched by this devastating windstorm that consumed absolutely everyone and everything else around them. In the end, sincere faith was the only shelter that actually worked.
Let's move to our final section and see how this builds into part 5, lessons for today.
Because look, this isn't just some ancient, dusty history lesson, not at all. It's a mirror held up to every single generation that comes after them. Every generation builds its own version of towering pillars, right? For Ad, it was literal stone architecture. For us today, it might be unprecedented wealth, incredible technological advancements, or massive military strength. And every single generation faces the exact same temptation of arrogance, to look at what we've built, to rely on it completely, and to believe we are absolutely untouchable. But as we've seen, true shelter is never, ever found in worldly power. It is found solely in sincere faith and humility before the Creator. Which leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. So which of the favors of your Lord would you deny? Every single blessing you have, your health, your intelligence, your resources, it's a trust, it's not a possession. So ask yourself, what are the towering pillars you rely on today? And are they maybe distracting you from the one who gave them to you in the first place? Take a moment to really reflect on that. And hey, make sure to join us next time in this Explainer series as we move forward to the fascinating story of Prophet Salih, peace be upon him, and a stunning miracle that an entire nation still couldn't protect. See you then.